everybody in
Thinking back to when I had to choose, seemed like I had everything to lose now. Stuck here waiting, feeling so confused, and I'm biting on my tongue, comfort in the rush like a fool, and I'm rushing to a grave now. Hoping I can find another way down, 'cause I'm breaking the silence, it's too loud. Separated, now there's no other way out, another way out. 'Cause I don't know what happened, I'm trapped in a casket, I'm 600 feet beneath myself. Was going back to the past, better than I imagined. Just me and my secrets here in hell. I don't know what happened, I'm trapped in a casket, I'm 600 feet beneath myself. Was going back to the past, better than I imagined. Just me and my secrets here in hell. And I lay searching farther, I'm choking on twos now. Breathing harder, I'm broken in two now. Can't move on, but there's so much to lose now. Digging deeper and deeper below. Let me loose now. Hesitating from what I can prove now. I'm not waiting 'cause I chose the abuse now. Too much in the air, God, do I even care? Do I even care? Don't know what happened, I'm trapped in a casket, I'm 600 feet beneath myself. Was going back to the past, better than I imagined. Just me and my secrets here in hell. I don't know what happened, I'm trapped in a casket, I'm 600 feet beneath myself. Was going back to the past, better than I imagined. Just me and my secrets here in hell. And I lay
How to make emo dance.
The year is 2007. The cherished pop punk days of your youth were replaced by electronic dance music forever. But what if there's a way to keep some of those sick bass drops without sacrificing the precious emo angst of your youth? Let's get started. Okay, so check it. Every pop punk or emo song has to have guitar. But before you go out and try to learn an actual instrument, don't even bother. Just buy yourself a fake guitar, you dingus. The one I use is called Real 8 and it sounds amazing. Check it out. Now let's go ahead and slap on my friend Eli Derp's Fat Rack on there. I'm going to turn the amount and focus all the way up. Check it out. Holy shit, that's incredible. I like turning this on and switching it to bridge mute. Amazing. Or maybe pinch harmonics. You can even double track the guitars for a sweet stereo effect. Amazing. Things start to get real crazy when we get deeper in on the audio effects. We got Acon Digital's Multiply, it's a free chorus effect. Kind of adds a nice little bit of width and roominess to it. On this more plucky percussive sound, I got Multiply again, but then I also have just the stock Ableton reverb, and here I'm automating the dry wet to kind of create these reverb swells in the groove. Check it out. Oh, wowzers. And if I want even more reverb, nothing beats good old Valhalla Shimmer. Check this out, I got these sweet guitar arps. Let's open up Valhalla, turn that shit on the bright hall setting. Oh my god, that's beautiful. And if I really want to up the etherealness, I'll use this other plugin called the Blee-Ass Granulizer for a sweet pitched delay effect. Oh, so beautiful. Oh. But enough of the soft and pretty stuff. What about some crunch, some grit, some of that emo angst? Well, for this, there's plenty of options. So Eli's Fat Rack comes with this handy dandy distortion knob. But if you don't have that, Ableton's pedal is also a great option. Check it out. I like to switch to the fuzz setting and crank the gain. Holy shit, that's crunchy. Another great option for amp simulation is this awesome plugin called Emissary. Let's turn it on and off to hear the difference. On. Oh, here we go. And another way to up the crunch even further is actually using Redux. So if you turn this on and turn the bits all the way down, at one it seems to mute completely, but if you turn on DC shift, oh, wowzers. Another one of Eli Derp's fantastical creations is this Gabriele effect rack. Basically, if you open this shit up, it's just a bunch of choruses stacked together, and if you crank the dry wet, choruses stacked together, and if you crank the dry wet, holy shit! Just creates this super insane metallic feedback effect. So I've been automating that. Check this out. And if I want to get a really fast, crunchy, choppy effect on the guitars, nothing beats this Blee-Ass Dragonfly. Check it out. If I crank the dry wet, you can hear it kind of spinning and crunching out of control. Sometimes I just want to get a little lo-fi. So for that, I use this free Max for Live device called Color. If I crank the age all the way up, well, all of a sudden I just want to do my homework to this. This is great. And to get even more lo-fi, I love this plugin called Sketch Cassette. I'm going to crank the Warn all the way up and crank the depth on the dropouts for this kind of randomized auto panning effect. It was beautiful. All right, so that's about it for my guitars, but what about some booty bass? So here I'm starting with the E Instruments Studio Bass on the classic bass pick amp preset. Add some serum effects to widen up the sound, add some distortion. Multiband to take out some low end and compress the highs. Come back to this gate, but let's put on this EQ to kind of put on this little bandpass effect. Skip the Redux, add my boy Eli's Fat Rack again. Holy shit, that sounds ridiculous. Add the Redux back in, adds a lot of white noise to it. And just to clean up that noisy tail end of each note, I'm gonna put a gate on. The gate really cuts it up, makes it sound a lot more choppy and electronic. Next up, we have Fucked Bass number 1. The core of this sound is actually real 8s again, so I'm actually using a guitar for this. If I slap on Redux on there and Emissary, it sounds a lot crunchier. Eli's Fat Rack again, of course. Because we're compressing this so hard, we're hearing that reverb tail at the end of each note. Again, I'm going to use that gate to cut that out. All right, let's hear these two fucked basses together. And last but not least, let's add even more ridiculous amounts of processing on the group. Holy, but to really make this hit hard in the club, we need some sweet sub underneath all this. Now, a good sub is like a push-up bra. It just naturally enhances what you already have on top. So here I'm just using Sweet Serum, and all I have here is the sub on the second oscillator shape. So here's what it sounds like without the sub. Now let's put that sub back in. Oh shit, I can really feel that. Now just to give the EDM kids a little something more to chew on, I sometimes intersperse some bass whomps in there. Oh, wowzers. Wow, Underbelly, it's a great sound you must have made. No, it turns out that my boy Eli made that, along with a bajillion other incredible bass sounds. All right, enough about that booty bass. Let's take a look at the drums. What you're about to hear is the most complicated, intricate drum beat I've ever created. Check it out. Now, if you think that's crazy, check out the effects chain I have on these drums. Kick, snare. You don't need to process the shit out of these splice sounds. The sound designers already did that for you. Now, the one bit of true processing that I do have here is on the drum group. I got that newfangled saturate again just to slice off those peaks, make the volumes of the drums a little bit more even. But that's about it. And just to make my drums sound super punchy and fat in the mix, I've basically put everything except for the drums into one big group and slapped the Duck Buddy on there. This is a MIDI sidechaining Max for Live effect. It's free and it just makes everything sound super punchy. So here's what the mix sounds like without the sidechain and with. Ooh, that slaps. Nothing delivers that emo angst more than whining incessantly into a microphone. But mere words can't communicate my pain, only moans can. It's not enough, I need to do it more. Now let's pan these moans left and right. Okay, that's nice, but just to make this a little bit more palatable, I'm going to use this free auto-tune plugin called M Auto Pitch. Maybe turn up the width a little bit. Okay, but let's squash the shit out of that with the Fat Rack. Maybe add some pedal on the fuzz setting for some extra distortion. EQ to take out the low end. And fuck it, let's just fatten it up again. Holy shit, let's hear that in the mix. Now, while I love to moan, sometimes it can be emotionally draining. So when I'm all tired out, I like to use vocal chops. Now, these vocal chops are coming from the free voice box pack. I'm using the Velocity Chords Nicholas instrument. Let's hear it in the mix. And while I love the sound of these chops, they're totally out of key. Looks like this instrument's in the key of G. I'm trying to be in the key of B flat. So to fix this, I'm going to use this handy dandy plugin called Pitch Map. This is basically auto-tune on steroids. And I'm going to change the key to B flat minor. Let's take a listen. Oh, so much better. Now, just to have these vocals occupy a wider stereo space, I'm going to use this free Ozone Imager plugin. Make sure Stereo Eyes is turned on and crank the width. Oh, so wide. I love that girth. And just to have a little bit of call and response action, I have another vocal chop track with the exact same processing, just doing a different melody. All right, so we've covered guitars, bass, drums, vocals, all the emo and punk components we need. How do we master this shit to sound ultra fat and in your face? I know what you're thinking. We probably need like 3 different kinds of EQs, 6 kinds of compression, a bajillion OTTs. No! This is my mastering chain. This is it. It's just one thing. Take a listen. It's that same goddamn newfangled Saturate hard clipper. And to be honest, you don't even really need this shit. You could just put a utility on the master, crank up the gain till it's as loud as you want, and call it a day. Who cares if it's clipping? At this point, we've processed and added so much saturation and compression to all our individual tracks that on the master, all you really need to do is crank the gain and clip to the degree you want, and that is it, folks. That, my friends, is punk music.
Thanks for watching. You can check out the entire EP by clicking the link in the video description. I'm Underbelly. Have a great day.